Am I live? Oh, what up, traders? What up, investors? Ken here from Dyslexic Investor, and thank you for joining for a fantastic live stream tonight. Today is going to be cutting a little bit short due to family things. Got to put the kid down to sleep. Got a pretty long day ahead at work. I have to go into the office, all this kind of fun stuff. But I didn't want to leave everyone short-handed. We're going to kind of be doing a little bit differently. We're just going to be kind of going through the list here of all the stocks that are basically reporting this week. There's a lot of very sketchy stocks on here, like a lot. Like we have Wish. Of course, we have SNDL, the IQIY, which is like the YouTube streaming, I believe, of China. DoorDash has always been one that's been kind of looming in the back burner for a short for me, potentially. Bumble, yeah. Love Sonos, actually, that's a great one. Helion, that thing, yeah. Wix, that's like that website building. NIO, got nothing to say on that. I know a lot of you folks out there are pretty long on Clover and Rocket as well. Those are big, very ones as well. Coinbase, another great stuff that's coming out. FUBO is one that we've talked about quite a bit, that got hyped up quite a bit. Unity is actually one that I'm actually looking at pretty intense in the sense of actually owning the stock a little bit longer term. McAfee, not touching with a 10-foot pole. Callaway Golf, a lot of people have asked about that. Smile Direct Club, not too fan of that. And Digital Turbine, which is apps, is actually a stock that I own quite a bit of for long term. And of course, we got Workhorse coming out on Monday morning, and of course Purple. Purple was a member at the Wall Street Bets. Folks really rode that stock up quite a bit in the past. What is it? What was that? Purple? Was it PR? Oh shoot! Was it PURL? Purple beverage. Purple Innovate. This is it right here. Yeah, this is what happened right here. So I remember it very well because I had it was right here in this range. This is when I had to go to the hospital because I had two hernias in my groin and my belly button. And then I remember after the market, the earnings came out. This is actually when I was in the hospital, and it was just crashing down. And then it got bid up quite a bit from the Wall Street Bets folks. And it kind of just continued going higher until that February high that we saw a lot of stocks kind of topple out at, and then kind of come crashing down ever since then. Now it's kind of trading around that 25-ish range, which is potentially could be some potential stronger support here. Could it be a market darling again and maybe get a run here? It's too close to earnings, of course. It's coming out on Monday morning on that one. Looking here as well on the S&P 500, we're going to be seeing the market a little bit of blah because now people are kind of learning about the new variant of, like, it starts with an L that has been kind of been going through some of the Asian countries as well there. So markets are going to be a little bit mixed. Of course, one of my favorite companies that I've owned for quite some time is Disney's also reporting this week. So that's going to be a pretty large party going on there. I believe they report on Thursday. Yeah, Thursday after the close, they report Disney. The expected move for Disney's just this week is nearly $7.60. I'm just going to say $8 to be on the safe side, so that can easily put us back up to that previous high that we saw around 185-ish. To potentially to the low side of getting back down to that 170 range, which has been substantially some support that we've seen kind of help us throughout those levels before. So yeah, Johnny, thank you for coming out, my friend. We got Dew, we got Alex. Thank you so much, folks. I really appreciate it. The market has been pretty cray here lately. A lot of fun things to look at. That I'm looking at as well, that I'm really looking at, especially the companies we talked about. We have PLTR, which I think a lot of folks are still trading this. I do see that pop up on a lot of Twitter. When I do the search on Twitter, I'm seeing how it comes out of a lot of people are still talking about that as well. If you're asking about this new line that I have here, these little blue teal dots, that's basically what we're looking at. As if people are not familiar with this, this is called a anchored VWAP, and a VWAP is basically a volume weighted average of price over a X amount of time. So normally people talk about this VWAP normally on like a minute or a 5-minute chart, but I found that with doing some research and looking at some other great traders that I know, there's this anchor VWAP that you can kind of put on the charts there, and it kind of creates a nice little, like a 30-day anchor point that you're kind of seeing potentially some levels that you could see pop go up or down. As you can see with PLTR, hasn't been a market darling. It's been kind of like the blah, kind of just trading sideways zone here. It's kind of below that 144 EMA. We already have the 8 EMA, and now we have the 34 EMA potentially crossing over. Coming down 3% on Friday, that's not a fun way to kind of to get ready for that, to kind of see how that plays out. Of course, with earnings coming out this week, completely coin flip. I think what the people on CNBC and a lot of other folks say is like, people are just buying this because it's a meme. They're just buying it because of XYZ dumb reasons. But I think it actually has a pretty fantastic product. I know that a lot of it's a little hush-hush and it requires a certain clearance. Just give me 1 second. My daughter's knocking on the door. All right, we're back. She's just telling me that she's going to bed. So PLTR that we talked about has been kind of just generically bouncing around this range with earnings. It actually makes a profit, so a lot of people don't give that credit on that. The last earnings that we saw kind of coming crashing into earnings a little bit and then kind of made a pretty strong reversal. Who knows if that's going to be something that we're going to be playing out as well today or this coming earnings. You know, you just don't know. Earnings are very much that coin flip that we always talk about, that we can just see and really just kind of ruin some people's days on especially that coin flip mentality there. Orlando says, hey Ken, I hope you're doing well. I am doing very well, thank you. Can you please take a look at Tesla, PINs, and BNTX? Sure. Tesla, great stuff. I still don't know why they were left out of that press conference. Orlando, if you know, that would be great if you can share with the group here on why they were left out on that EV conference at the White House this past week, which is kind of lame. Anyways, so we had that little, it kind of was a great quarter. They made a lot of money. Margins are increasing. You got the bear side of the story of like, hey, it's still a high flyer. Once the EV credits are going to go away, and then Ford, GM's coming out with that fantastic Hummer. We got Ford coming out with the Mustang EV. You got the Lightning truck, all this stuff. Tesla's going to go away. I think most people kind of understand, like, yes, maybe that's going to create some competition, but it's just not going to go away overnight. It's not going to be a simplistic way of just continuously taking care of things. And Tesla's not going to just stand there and just let other companies one-up them. Tesla definitely has a mover's advantage, first mover's advantage. But that being said, that level here at $720 or $719.95 to be precise, Orlando, has been a kind of an overhead resistance. We not really have gotten past that or that 762. If this comes back down here to like 677, that would be okay in short-term support, but we have some longer dated support coming in around 648-ish to basically that 624, 625 range if it does come down to the level. Because again, if there's a new variant coming out or a different narrative and interest rates are go up for whatever, who knows what can happen in the market. These are some short-term levels to be looking at there as well. And then you asked about pins. Of course, that's Pinterest. They have been, I thought they would rebound a little bit more. Since then, they're kind of building somewhat of an okay base here around $49 to $60 here. So this happens a lot here with pins. Like it's people just don't know on what category to put it in. I didn't actually read or look over their last earnings, but you can kind of see here just by looking at pattern recognition here, Orlando. You're seeing that middle finger kind of mentality. So you have that the I don't want to give you the middle finger here, but if you don't hit the like button though, I'll give you the middle finger. But I'm just joking. You have of course your pointer finger, middle finger, and then your ring finger, and you kind of have that volume profile here as well. Each time on earnings, you have the day before, then the news, and then the kind of the give back, and then it kind of works self-explanatory from that point forth here, and seeing it kind of go middle finger, the ring, middle finger, index finger, and seeing it kind of bounce back through here. I wouldn't call this any kind of base here at that $60, $40, $59 level here. It's a little bit too short term. I would like to see this potentially hold a little bit longer. So once you kind of start seeing this 8 EMA here, which is a pretty fast, not want to say extremely fast, but it's a pretty fast driving if you're trading within like 30 or 40 or 60 days. A good driver to kind of potentially see that kind of level off here and maybe get parallel with the $59 to $60 level, and kind of see it kind of maybe build that base here to kind of see it show some more stronger support. So there's any kind of like other data coming out to go through here and potentially make its way back up to $65 plus. But if it starts breaking below $59, it doesn't have much of a floor there, to be quite honest with you. And then BNTX for you, my friend. Holy moly guacamole. Yeah, nothing to say on this absolutely insane parabolic move. It looks like it has earnings coming out the 9th, so tomorrow before the market, so there's not really much we can do here. It has weekly, yeah, the expected move is nearly $50 plus or minus, so that's a pretty substantial move here. I'm honestly not a large fan of these plays here. Initially speaking, that first line of support would come in around that 360, which would be the 8 EMA here. But this is definitely a parabolic kind of stock here because we're trading quite far off from that 8 EMA here. That 8 EMA line, again, is very much a fast-moving EMA because it's only going back 8 days, so it gives a pretty good understanding of momentum in the stock, and that is definitely going off to the races there. So wow. Johnny All Cash, what's up, my friend? Mexico raising interest rates. I didn't know that. Get ready for rate hikes sooner rather than later. I agree with you, Johnny. So I always just look at the TLT. It did get pretty much slashed when the jobs report came out on Friday morning. Again, it closed down nearly nearly 2%, which is pretty insane for the bonds here, and really seeing that kind of come through. We're looking for TLT some short-term support around 147 to potentially the 145.72 if we can see some kind of a bounce there come into that play there. But exactly, we can't have interest rates at these levels for some time. And the kind of the tailwind that I'm looking for is XLF. So XLF I've talked about quite a bit, especially in the Discord, of how much I love this. And I was adding to my position all here through 36, and even actually bought down here at 35, and it was just adding to my position, and then finally paid off coming into Friday, having a nice little stronger jobs report, unemployment going down nearly 5.5 below, and start potentially seeing some tailwinds of this the economy getting back to quote unquote normal. And then looking for really XLF, which is the financial part of the S&P 500 to kind of carry us through. And of course, what's in this stock? This is JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, all the large banks, which everyone hates to love. Really going to be making some more money once we start turning that interest rate knob back on. Chris is this UPST. What you think? Thanks. UPST. PST. That sounds very familiar. Very choppy here, honestly. First look at it, Chris, here. Again, seeing these large moves up, down, up, like this. Not a nice consistent wave here. Speaking here, again, it does have earnings coming out, so that's going to be, excuse me, very much a coin flip on that. That analysis there. They're expecting to move from nearly $18 to $19 plus or minus here. So we're going to be looking for some initial short-term support coming in around 120 to 123 to see that level of support kind of come through there. But we can do a very, 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 very short-term basic Fibonacci sequence here. Initially, it's hitting that 140 range. It's not really gotten broken past that. If we start breaking past that, we're looking for 150 to 159 to really see the next catalyst on seeing that move come out. And it could maybe go up or lower because it is very volatile, especially around earnings. You're seeing a lot of volume coming in here the past 2 or 3 times and seeing large aggressive moves up. So I don't know too much about this company, but the chart looks a-okay to the sense, but it's very much a coin flip because guess what? Earnings is coming out. So I'm not a big fan of that. Due diligence asking for Fiverr, FVRR. So Fiverr really missed on earnings. I remember seeing that come out of last time here. I want to do a quick update on the Fibonacci sequence here. So go to swing high to swing low and then the top here. So initially speaking here, it's coming down to its 50% move here, so around 171. But if this momentum continues, because this is not a significant floor support here, so if that floor does not hold here at that 170 to 171 range, we can easily come back down to 150 to 149, which will kind of be breaking the previous low here. And you kind of see I had a target. If they did miss, I was looking for like 120 to 118 to really see that aggressively give back to kind of potentially go back to where it was previously last November. And we can take a look on that sense. But that is something I don't want to be jumping in front of, honestly, on the Fiverr front, because it's very much a lockdown kind of stock that I think a lot of people did play. You're very welcome, Orlando. Ken, what do you think about Twitter? I'm bearish, and it's about to touch 200 EMA 4 hour. It's never held. I haven't looked at. Is it, you say TW? Oh, you look off Twitter. TWTR. You're looking at the 200 EMA. It's about to hit the 200 EMA on the 4 hour chart. Okay, 4 hour chart. Let's go to 4 hour chart. I don't have the 200 EMA on my chart, but let's just go here. We're going to type in EMA. Oh, not ENA, EMA. And that is the, oh, sorry. I forgot Thinkorswim does it differently. There we go. Let's do that. And we're doing the 200. All right. Okay, apply. So it looks like it held last time here, and I'm bearish about it, and the touch 200, and it's never held it. It held here last time. It bounced off that. The last couple times it kind of broke through it, but I see it going again during this time. It really kind of gave it back on the last quarter, but that was due to an earnings announcement that really kind of makeshifted lower here. So if it doesn't show support here on the 4 hour chart, which I don't honestly look at too often, to be quite honestly, Fritz, there, it could break through it. Yes. I don't know what the narrative currently is going on Twitter. I thought they were doing well. They're talking about adding monetization to subscribers or whatever else they were doing, which I don't follow too much on Twitter because I don't do too much. But I do see the short squeeze potentially firing short. So if we do see a break below 66.80-ish, we definitely could go lower here. So in the next level within reason would be around 64 to 65. So I'm not the largest bear in the room here, to be quite honest here. But that's something that we could look at. On the daily chart, I'm going to be looking at that a little bit more around the 61 range. Would be that could be a pullback range that I would be somewhat comfortable with. Because as of right now, it's just kind of nominal around holding that 34 EMA here, which I normally look at to potentially enter on some kind of trading. But not a large fan of while everything else is doing pretty well here, seeing Twitter down, it's kind of being the other side. Thoughts on Roku? Yeah, Roku. So they had earnings. This thing was like a crazy market darling, and ARK had a pretty large investment in this one as well, if I remember right. I don't know if they still do. Because again, we're talking about it had that market high in February, around 480-ish. We barely touched that just recently on 726 here, going to 490 for about a second or two, and then coming right back down, and this continuously kind of selling off going into earnings here, potentially finding some kind of short-term floor of support here around 389.82. So that was a previous bounce here, and that was previous resistance on the way up here. So that does come in very short-term support though, so I'm not going to be saying like this is going to be a significant line in the sand here, or it's going to be any kind of a wall or some kind of, it could be a potentially trampoline. But if that bowling ball or that crater is going right through, or that asteroid's going right through that trampoline, it's going to rip all that thread across, and this can maybe make its way down potentially to 366 to even back down to 338. That's going to be more in the extreme case. I haven't followed Roku too much on the fundamental side here, but technically speaking, looking for some initial short-term support here around 389, and trying to make its way back up to $412 there, my friend. Fabio G, hey Ken, how do you check out AWK? I'm trying to build a solid long-term portfolio. AWK. Waterworks. Is this this is wow. Is this due to the shortages and stuff in water? American Auto Water is America's utility company. The company's enjoys market-based business and regular business. The market-based business included operating segments, however, homeless group, military service group, military provides protection programs and home services to residential customers. Military, what? Provide water and wastewater services on various military installations. The company also approximately 5 contracts with multiple business operations of major water and water waste facilities providing relative. Okay, so this looks fantastic. So I don't know if you're in the Discord. You should definitely join the Discord. We have a lot of fun things going on there, especially talking about the large water shortage. If Marty or Alpaca is listening, he's been on top of this one like white on rice here. No pun intended here. I don't think he's Asian. But seeing that really kind of come through, the next target we're going to be potentially looking for is around that 183 range. And some longer dated targets would be around 198 to 200 if that momentum can continue. We have been flying fairly hot here, and what I mean by that is looking at that 8 EMA here. It has touched the 8 EMA here. It's going to be the short-term support, so around 174 to 172 is going to be your level of short-term support here. But that's going to be something that in the short term is going to be that level of support there. But that looks like a great stock. If you've been buying into this one, kudos to you. We're going to give you a nice chest bump there for you, a nice little stock there. I appreciate that for sharing your thoughts there, my friend. Yeah, you all need to like this shit too-ish. He's been giving me free game and overview on how to make thing trades. Hey, I'm just here having fun, my friend. I love doing this. If it's just 2 people, I can talk to you for an hour or something like this. I wanted to talk. There was one stock. So 3 EV stocks that I wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole that people have asked me about is Workhorse. Not touching that with a 10-foot pole. That's coming out with earnings on Monday here, before the bell, I believe, right? Yeah. Oh, yeah, before the market opens even. So we'll see how that one plays out. Does it have weekly calls? That's expected move of $1.50 plus or minus here. I think this can easily, who knows, right? Earnings can be completely surprised here. I think this thing can potentially go back down to $8, even $7, and we can kind of see where it goes in there. Oh, I forgot your question, my friend. I'm sorry. UW, oh, UWMC, yeah. Yeah, sadly, this thing has been getting kicked in the nads here. It had that pretty large spike up due to that Rocket Mortgage stuff, but this is looking okay here. I can potentially see maybe a nice little pop up back up to like 8 to 817. Maybe for a trade. It does have earnings coming out the 16th of August, so that could be something that we can be looking at. That is going to be something that I had to be very, very careful with. The analysis tab here, they don't really have. I usually sometimes read some of these research reports that they put out here. There hasn't been too much on it. The earnings per share has gone up significantly, and the net margins have increased as well. So honestly, I have to add, I know Makeshift and a couple other folks have been getting into this one quite a bit here. So let me put that in the official, my New York Public Library book here. I'm gonna put this, if I can get my fat fingers around it. This is my shorthand stuff that I just put in here. I need to, since I'll be in the office tomorrow at work, I have to make more notes on the go. I might have to put it actually in my phone, which I think I left in the other room, but that's fine. Looking at that there, potentially this could be a chance to buy here. Maybe adding a little bit to an earnings run here, potentially to that around that 8 to 817. If that is keyword, if it holds here around that 750 and it doesn't come really kind of crashing down there. But yeah, I think it's interesting, very interesting. John Jacob, what's up, my friend? I sold my workhorse a few months ago, thank God. Workhorse, going back to that sucker. A lot of people are like, oh, it's just fine, they lost a contract. That wasn't fine. From basically that 31 drop all the way down here, that was not. I remember that day fairly well. I remember it got halted multiple times, and then people were trying to buy the dip, and I think ARK was putting out a statement that, hey, they're going to try to fight Congress or the House committee on trying to get the revote casted. That doesn't work. That doesn't work, my friend. Goodbye. Chris is asking for plug power. Yeah, that's been kind of steady here. It's been a steady eddy here. I've kind of drew these like lines out here that kind of dictates these. These are kind of old. I got to kind of get rid of that. Very kind of choppy here. Potentially worth a trade here if it holds above 25 to 24, higher 24s here, to potentially get back up to the 30s ish. I just don't know the whole operational fundamental side of this. Technically speaking, it's kind of in chop zone, and it's having a little bit trouble getting its head back above water around 30. Johnny also, because if you go to the Workhorse YouTube channel, their official channel, you can see all their directors reading from posts is laughable on how much scam that is. Yes. If people don't remember, I have to do it, which I kind of called out Workhorse before a lot of people were doing it. I was doing it. I did it once, but then I got a lot of flack for it. I don't want to be put my name all out there for just because of that instance. We can look that. Let me do WKHS. Yeah. Yeah, I did it 11 months ago. I said, what happens if Workhorse wins UPS contract of $6.3 billion or not? So I gave the bad case for Workhorse because I put a flaming UPS and says send help on here, which I thought was kind of funny. The understanding of that. But anyways. Dan, any thoughts on Fastly? Yes, let's look at Fastly. They reported last week. Yeah, crazy volume. Let's point that out right as well. Oh, I missed a question. What percentage of your account do you put on each trade? Fritz, it doesn't, on trading, it's less than like 3. It's usually trading, and it kind of breaks it down to pretty crazy levels. But like, if it's like I don't know what I'm gonna do with this trade, and it's very tight margins or very tight stops, I'll be looking at maybe 1 to 2% of the portfolio. So that doesn't mean I'm going to be putting in $10,000. I can put in $10,000, but I can only risk a loss of 1% of the portfolio value. So if my portfolio, let's make it simple, is at $10,000 and I put in 1,000, I can only lose 1% of the overall portfolio on that one trade. So 1% of the overall portfolio is only $100 of that 1%. So you kind of keep it on a very tight margin basis here. You can, some people go 2, some people do 3, some people do 5. But once you start going to 7, 8 to 10, 10% is kind of like a lane where it's very hard to kind of come back from. Fastly has been somewhat fascinating here. Again, this one was a fairly large market darling, because again, this thing got up to $136 here, and now we're seeing it down to $33. So it nearly has crashed $100 and $103, right? So that's been pretty significant here. So we can kind of zoom out to the weekly chart, looking back 3 years, potentially, maybe, just maybe, potentially finding some kind of floor support here around that 42. Nothing too significant around that level there. But what I want to do here is I want to do this longer dated Fibonacci sequence here. So if we do see a bounce back, the next line of resistance, especially on the daily chart here, look, it kind of runs into that 144 in the 200 EMA level. So this is something to be very, very mindful about in those two levels there. Not saying we're going to be getting there anytime soon, but if this does floor support kind of hold here around $40-ish, we can maybe see it kind of come up. The first level to really kind of seeing it getting back up is at least a 45 to 50 and getting through those shorter dated EMAs there. Deuce says, last one, Ken, please, and thank you. You're very welcome. AI. Yeah, this thing was a crazy one, right? This wasn't an IPO. This wasn't a SPAC. Water tastes so good, doesn't it? On a hot summer day. So AI, this thing has been crazy insane in the membrane. Very much beaten down here. It's a newer IPO stock, so I like to wait actually more to 3 to 4 earnings to kind of get a level base here. And we have already done 2 earnings reports, and now potentially the next one coming up the first week of September. So we're going to be looking for that to potentially see here. Initially here, that $47-ish price level that we're currently somewhat near could be some short-term support here, but that is something that we could watch for and maybe see a potential bounce at that level here. But I don't know too much on the fundamental side of this story here, because there isn't too much stuff for me to read on this one, on the sense of like Thinkorswim or what other investors or other people are talking about. And there hasn't been too much data here, because I should actually probably change this to like a 1-year trend, but there isn't too much information that we can kind of put in, because the company hasn't been public very much, and we'll see how this one plays out. But it's very much kind of beaten down, and I'm a little bit afraid to kind of touch it, to be quite honest with you. You're welcome, Chris. They also use your outro. Well, I think that outro music, Johnny, is from YouTube. So yeah. Johnny Jacobs, thank you for the $15. Hey Ken, thank you for the streams and device information. Lunch tomorrow on me and our 12-pack of imports after work if you're newbie or B occasionally. What was my brother? My brother was pinging me about something. There's like this beer I need to buy from San Diego or something like that. What was it called? Here, I'll pull it up here 1 second. It was called Mother Earth Cali Cream Ale. Never heard of it, but I'm going to try that. Thank you, John. I really do appreciate that, my friend. I got Brilliant sitting on CTRM, pulled out on everything paper hands. Trust me, I've been doing this for quite some time and I still have paper hands, right? This thing looks insane, honestly. Like, this thing should not, I don't know what this does, but this is insane. Like, this is complete FOMO. Look at these crazy volume spikes here, and actually this one here as well. I would be very careful on this one, because this, again, it has the DNA to make some crazy moves. So you have to understand that. A crazy move can mean up, down. That's what a crazy move means. Doesn't mean it has to go in your favor. But that is a lot of volume coming in here. What is this company? And it doesn't have anything on the analysis. Not loading for me. Okay. Yeah. Initially, the first wall of resistance would be coming around that 247 to 250 range, which we kind of see that falling 34 EMA here. That being said, if it's kind of leveling off here, if it does make a jump here, that is crazy amount of volume here. We saw a little bit, maybe 60% of that volume come in through here, and it really didn't go anywhere. So there had to be some kind of larger catalyst here to really kind of see things market move here. Again, I don't know the fundamental story too well on this one here. Rob's asking about SQ. Yes, SQ is, this thing has just continued to kind of fly here. It's acquiring that company. Earnings look strong. Look at that volume kind of been trading in the last week or so. That is pretty impressive market trades coming through here. Kind of breaking through that previous high that we talked about around $283 to $284 here. So that's going to be a level that we potentially could see a level of some people taking some chips off the table, people kind of taking some risk off kind of scenarios here. Again, being a very large market segment of the new age or millennial money on helping people get investing, checking, banking, kind of doing things differently, having your card, buying cryptos, all this kind of hip stuff that the mom and pops that have no, I won't say rhyme or understanding of it. It's just like a new age of banking, and they're doing a pretty fantastic job on it, honestly, looking at this one. That being said here, potentially levels, it could easily run to $300 here. Speaking of the Fibonacci sequence, the next really Fibonacci number is going to be around 350 on this ongoing vector here. That is, again, that's quite a far ways off, but who knows, that could easily be reached. We kind of zoom out to the weekly chart. This thing has been in chop zone over basically the whole of 2021, and it's finally trying to break out here. So if it starts closing and breaking above that 283, that's going to be a pretty positive sign and giving a very strong bull push here with SQ. Hey there, just joined. So what about PLTR? Yep, we did talk about PLTR towards the beginning here, my friend. But looking at it, wrong button. Looking at it on the daily chart again with earnings coming out, very much, surprise kind of scenario, and we'll see how that one plays out. But it has some short-term support here around $21 to 21 to 2075 is, let's just call it plus or minus in that range there. On that level there. A key breakout level would be around 23.65. The trade for this week is expected move around $2 here. So that could happen within the cards there. But again, that's what the options markets are participating and looking at here. Could it easily go break back down to $20? Sure, why not? Because I think most people don't understand on how PLTR makes money, right? So it's a longer term trade for me. So if it gets below $18 or $17.50, I'll just have to add to the position. Unless it gaps down to $18, then that could be a little bit of a problem. I want to kind of see it settle before I start buying. My worst two investments so far are T-Doc and Canopy Growth. I'm holding for a positive increase to sell, so I don't feel bad about the hit. I know the feeling of that. T-Doc has been, the earnings were kind of like blah, right? It's kind of holding that 150. I don't know, John, if you follow ARK Invest, have they added to it since in this range here? Because they should, because they've kind of bolstered it up quite a bit here. Looking on the longer term side here, John, that 144 EMA here, so around 143-ish range to 142 is pretty significant support here on the longer data chart here. And if it starts breaking below that, we're potentially looking for around 125. But for your case, I hope that doesn't happen. And 150, because on the weekly side, that 8 EMA is finally maybe, just maybe, kind of settling here, and maybe to start trading sideways, but it's nothing too significant. It's still in that category. I think, John, you probably know this, of like, it was at stay-at-home play. Teledoc's still the future. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, it's literally the market darling for telework or doctors. It has it in their name, right? And they're just kind of branching from that, and they're just trying to grow the business. If we kind of look at the analysis tab here, the revenues and what I always look at the profit margin has been kind of flat here on the trend growth here on this very simplistic chart here. It's still not a greatest kind of, it still loses money, right? So you can easily tell it's not making a profit because it's making those negative numbers here. But it could be the time potentially buying into, because I love when everything is just getting pummeled against the wall here and everyone doesn't give a rat's ass anymore about anything. That could be the perfect time to buy into it just slowly. Good night, Ken. Can you chat a good night? Are you going to sleep, Ross? What's up, Ross? Check out SCR, ATVX, and AZN. Let's start with AZN first. I think I traded that one before. AstraZeneca. Did kind of pull back here quite significantly here. But we have talked about this one before. It does kind of follow the fibs pretty well here. So around $55 going to be the $55.71 to be precise. Could be a level of support here, and maybe seeing a short bounce back in that coming through here. Because again, earnings didn't really make this drop off the cliff here, and potentially kind of coming back here. But I'm not usually the biggest fan of pharmaceutical stock, honestly, Ross, because they're so volatile. This one, my friend, it looks fantastic. I have no idea what this company does, but this looks like a beautiful chart, and it looks like if it comes down to 34 EMA, it looks like a buying opportunity. So that it looks beautiful. That is a beautiful looking trend. That is fantastic. That is one of the best charts I've seen all day. This one, can't say the same. Huge boost higher here, potentially on an earnings announcements or something happen here and kind of flying higher here. No idea what this Score Media and Gaming Incorporated. What the heck is this? I have nothing to read about this. I have never heard of this stock before, but that is a crazy parabolic move here. Look at that volume here. If you got this at $15, I will be taking at least half off here. That would be what I would do. Any hope for NNDM? That's good. That's a stick on the side of my, that's a poison dart in my neck. The stock here. It has earnings coming out on the 18th of August and kind of just meandering its way into earnings here. This could be worth a couple shekels here, since a stock's only $6 here. What is the forward outward looking earnings options are looking at here? Pretty significant here. Honestly, this is the kind of stock that has in the mentality of these very large market moves potentially. I'm just a little bit hindered by this one just because of where it was and now where it hasn't been. Can it go back up to $10? Maybe, just maybe. They're still losing money. They raised a lot of money. They sold a lot of shares all the way up here, right? This is, yeah, Fabi is doing the crying face. It's definitely been the Michael Scott. No, we just don't talk about this one. We just don't talk about it. The bears dancing all over me on this one. This has not been a fun one. Really, this aggressive move down once people were afraid of the market, the 10-year yield going to 2% or whatever the hell it was back then in February. Anyways, worth a shot maybe. Just be very careful. It's a speculative trade. it's nothing that I have high conviction in. Did you cover Big C, Alex? No, we have not. Let's look at Big C. That was actually on my mind, though. What has that been doing? So this is a stock that it was not a SPAC. It was an IPO. It came out gangbusters and then did next to nothing. Now we're seeing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 quarters. So now we're seeing basically an understanding here that we're seeing a potential base here. I always kind of look at the analysis tab. The margins are looking great. Everything's kind of moving on a nice upward trend here. There hasn't been any reports here, but yeah. SaaS company, pretty simplistic. There's some very key statistics I need to look at for this company. And we can kind of look at that more in depth if people want a video on it. We can go through that as well. But we can just do a very basic fib here from the swing high to swing low, which the high was at $162 here. So we're seeing a pretty significant pattern. That level at 70 is just like a cut line here. We're not seeing kind of break past that. It then came down quite a bit here, nearly 11% on Friday here. So not really substantial news there, right? That's not really looking too great there, and kind of been very choppy here, and potentially going back down to $60-ish, maybe seeing a bounce there. $60 would be the initial first line in the sand here. When it starts breaking below 60, we can easily see it below to 57 to maybe make its way back down to $50. That $70 range, if you just draw that line back, has been pretty significant, and it's very is a little short-term history of just kind of creating that line there. What is the best strategy to buy leap calls on space, please? Thanks. Space, honestly, the best time to buy space calls if you're really into the stock is on very large down days, because if you go into these leaps, that's the best time to buy it, because it's always best to buy a call on a down day, but you have to be very confident about it, right? Like, people are like, oh, the stock's down 7% or 3% or whatever, but if it's a down day and it's trading in around the range, so if space does give you the opportunity to come back down to 30 potentially, that's when I would be looking at potentially, maybe, depending on why it went down there, to buy into. Potentially, I like the stronger support here on 25 more than anything, but we'll see on how that one plays out going forth. Because again, markets pull back for whatever reasons. And then what I would do regarding the trade you're asking for leaps, you can buy. People put in leaps. The technical term for leap is basically an option that's at least a year out. The January options are only 166 days out, so they're not considered a year out because that's 360 plus days. So if you want to go to January 2023 and you want to play it pretty significantly, I'm a little bit more conservative, so I'm going to be buying something that's in the money or at the money. So the least I would buy is the 35s or at whatever's at the money, or something that's at least a 60 to 75 plus delta. And you can do that by just changing, you can change whatever these, you can kind of just change the quote. Oh, you want to go to here, and I want to change the delta. So potentially buying like the second or third, or even the 79 to 76 delta would be the best bang for your buck. So if there is a pretty large down day, which most people maybe would have thunk on earnings, but it kind of went up still. There's no losing money because again, it's very speculative trade here. But if it does come down here to that $30 range, I'll be potentially looking at it. But it's very risky, right? Like it's not a profitable company. It's in a lucrative sector of the market. Space exploration, space travel, all this kind of stuff is very that's new. I like that. But it's something that hasn't been well defined, and most analysts don't know on how to kind of give it a price. Disney has pretty large build up here. I have a pretty large Disney position here, so we're looking for that. Alex makes a great. That is a great suggestion there, Alex. Sean, thanks, bro. I got my opinions on those. I just wanted to see if they were looking good ahead. You're welcome, Ross. Thank you for helping Sai out there, Alex. Really appreciate that, my friend. You get an awesome dance. Let's see what else we got going on here. Yeah, Alex, like if you know, I don't know, I'm not too familiar with the Big C, but like Big C would be something that you could be going out buying those options, right? I don't know how confident you are in the company. The IV is not too high on those January 2023s all the way out here, 530 plus days. Something looking at like that $50, yeah, you're going to be spending 2,500 potentially for those calls, and there's not too much open interest there, so you can maybe kind of get the market makers to maybe just throw some kind of fishing bids out there, maybe try 24, 23, and see if anything bites. There could be someone that's willing to get out and give you a decent price. Yeah, but Big C would be something I'm actually going to write that down as well. I want to look at their metrics. I understand big SaaS companies fairly well, and they're just like, there's maybe 4 or 5 key metrics that we can look at and kind of tells a good story. Russell is asking for BBBY. Yes, BBBY, still in that kind of, that trend. I think, Russell, you asked about this one a couple weeks ago, if I'm right. It's still kind of holding here. We're actually coming into some level of support around 26 to 27. We have some stronger support coming in around 25 to 24 plus high here. That would be a stronger, little bit more significant support here. If that could kind of come back here, whatever the story and narrative is going on here, we would like to see a move above 30 here. And see a kind of a breakout in that range here to really see a pop up here above 30 plus, and that would be a nice little move there for Bed Bath and Beyond, because they're restructuring a lot of things here. Big Red Grizzly on SPY after hours. Should we be scared? Maybe. Who knows? Like, you just don't know what's going to happen in the market, right? Like, I'm not going to act like I know what the hell is going to be happening tomorrow. I can give you probabilities. I can give you potential scenarios, but I don't know what's going to happen. Like, could the market crash tomorrow? What is a crash, first of all, for you? So SPY has been high flying, all-time highs closing on Friday. Could we get a market comeback? Yes. I think if we do see a market comeback, we're going to easily come back down to the 34 EMA here, which we've previously seen. Some people are calling for something a little bit more significant. So if we kind of come back here at current prices here, we can easily come back 7 to 8% would be around that $400, 405 range for the S&P 500, where we currently sit at. Because as of right now, the NASDAQ and SPY and gold are all down. We have the RUT down. Of course, we have the VIX up nearly almost 2% here. So nothing too cray-cray going on there, right? 8K Power, yep. We'll look at Coin. Of course, this again is a newer IPO, like we talked about with Big C and the other ones. Huge market move on the crypto kind of move and the boys and girls in that industry. Got a little bit ahead of itself. It's coming down quite significantly here. We had one earnings. They actually make money, so that's a really positive, really great note there. And now seeing trade sideways here, basically around that 215 to basically like to 250 range, is kind of bouncing around here, and maybe seeing a market move into earnings. That's something that I could really easily likely see that market move here. It does have earnings this week, so we're looking for a market move of nearly $28. Let's just call it $30 because we're all friends here. So $30 where we're currently sitting at would be putting up to like that 287-ish range, which would be right here, breaking its 200 EMA here on the daily chart. So that could be a significant move here. We do have some pretty significant support around 238 in the short term, and then of course that 225 to like that 215, which has been that very significant support there. But it's not going to be an understatement. Coin's definitely going to be a very maybe the options market is expecting a larger move that's really necessary, but who knows, right? We'll see what happens. Definitely something I don't want to be trading. I don't want to trade at earnings. You could potentially play like a run into earnings and make sure you just get out before they have any kind of the announcements or before the close. Check my favorite FUV again, please. Waiting for the squeeze. Yeah. This one has been kind of coming back here. We talked about some levels. Just we really want to see this back above $20 here, and really see that kind of significantly push into that range here, that 19 plus range. In the short term here, around $18, we're kind of hitting that wall here. Looks like it has questionable earnings coming out the mid of August, so we have to keep an eye on that one there and see how that one plays out. But nothing too much to report there. I don't have a good fundamental understanding of that one, Rob. Mega's asking for body earnings 812. I don't think I've traded this one before. Beach Body Company. This looks like it was a SPAC, because I just see it trading around $10, and then that we had that SPAC attack here going to 18 and then doing nothing, and then seeing another short squeeze and then doing nothing and going well below here. I actually got nothing to say on this one, Mega. This is nothing. It's not my favorite cup of tea here, especially it kind of has that mixed history in the back here with this very large market move up here. Can it run up here? Maybe, maybe not. I have no idea what the Beach Body Company does. Or how they're looked at, or what kind of market they're in. Of course, Thinkorswim doesn't give me any information on it. What is the expected move? They don't have weekly moves. Yeah, I honestly can't say too much on this one. Just really not much to say on this one, because it's really going to potentially be its first earnings. So I don't want to be touching that. Michael's asking for AMD. Yes, my little darling AMD here, kind of coming back here. Let's be honest, this move right here, absolutely insane in the membrane. Like this is just crazy. Again, how do I know it's crazy? Look at the volume. Look on how far this stock. This is not like a small company with a short float or anything like that. This is a mega semiconductor provider and like industry leader in its place here, and we're seeing it really above the 8 EMA here. Absolutely insane in the membrane here, going gangbusters here. Potentially looking for some short-term support around 107 to 106. If we can continue to see this like kind of a pullback here, which I think could be healthy for the stock, to be quite honest here. Some stronger support I would like to see here is going to be, people are not going to like it. It's going to be around 99 to like around $95 would be some pretty substantial support kind of coming in there in that range that we can speak of for AMD. But if we get a short-term support bounce around 506 to even that 510 level, that 115 is going to be that very key highlighted area, but that 142 is going to be that really far off target that we potentially could see. But AMD did crush it. Well-deserved market move here, but that is a little bit too fast, too soon kind of scenario going on here on that market move. Yeah. Other couple of stocks that people wanted to look at, I think it was one I wanted to talk about, which I actually own and have owned since its SPAC deal, was SoFi. So SoFi, kind of like a Square, kind of like a Robinhood, got a little bit more of a banking arm. Again, has crazy market moves here, has showing some pretty significant support here around that $15 level here, and we're looking for that to kind of continue here with its really first earnings coming out this week here. We'll see how this one plays out. Again, it's a long-term hold for me, so I'm going to have to hold it through earnings. If it does start crashing below 15, and I like the numbers and I understand the market, what's currently trading for, I'm going to have to buy it. Yeah. Yeah, exactly, Michael. Like, a lot of people are, I'm not on the, I do terrible chasing stocks like that. Like, I'm not going to be, if I wasn't an AMD, I wouldn't be buying it at 115, to be quite honest with you. Johnny Allcash is asking for Clover Health, and of course, this one has gotten a little bit of negative press. It had that short squeeze, or sorry, that short report come out here. That's going to be something very interesting there. And that being said, it had that huge, like, literally had a squeeze for this one as well. Now it's kind of coming back down to that previous level here, around $7-ish here, going into earnings again. The last two earnings, they're still not profitable, and it's kind of been a lackluster move here. So honestly, Johnny, if you understand the business and you like it and you think it can grow, go for it. I just read the short report and I felt a little icky on it. I just didn't understand it here. Will Square be introduced in the S&P 500 soon? I didn't know that, Johnny. Are you saying they are, or they're initially looking for? I think they should, 100%. Like, because they I forget the requirements. They have to have like 6 quarters that are profitable, or not, 6 quarters that market move. Yeah, I think it potentially could be added. I think it should. I wonder what market it would fall into. Probably like a fintech kind of the market field that they have it in. Like maybe kick out like a, I don't know who they would kick out though. I wonder who they would kick out. Timothy's asking for LPX. If you covered it before, I have not. Doesn't ring a bell. Louisiana Pacific Company. Is this a railroad company? What is this? Manufacturing and building productions. The company provides its used home construction repairs models. Yeah, this is, I like it. This is a nice little setup. So what do I see here, honestly, Tim? If I can call you Tim or Timothy. Huge market move. This was potentially that everyone was like, oh, we're going to get that infrastructure bill, housing market, da-da-da-da. Kind of calming down here a little bit, kind of giving back at really everything. It's really not everything actually. If it goes that, oh wow, okay. Started out in 2021, basically around 35, 37, and now it's at 56. It did go all the way up to 76. Yeah, that's insane. How do I have fibs on this one? Was I looking at this one way before? Yeah, this was okay. Yeah. Look at that level. I had that really high Fibonacci number at 68. It hit it, and now it's coming back down. Initially in the weekly chart, $53 to $55 would be your first level of short-term support here. Let's zoom back into the daily chart here. So yeah, that 54, 55 to around $51 would be that short-term level of support here. We would like to get back above that 34 EMA here to kind of break that trend here. I do like the 8 EMAs leveling off here. And it's kind of start building its way above the VWAP anchor here and looking for this kind of push higher here. It was the peak of lumber prices. Yeah, that was a fun story, right? Potentially, could this come back? Maybe this could be kind of a bounce here, but I don't know the market. You probably know it better than I do, Timothy, on the building and construction company. Because if I look at, always when I think of houses and things like that, I look at Zillow, right? And that thing was not doing well on Friday. So that kind of got me worried about the home stuff. And homes are still going pretty fast. And I know especially new builds are so difficult right now. There's just so much demand and such low supply here. I don't know where a reasonable prices for wood and all the building construction should be. It definitely shouldn't be what it was in May though. So Zillow kind of coming down here pretty hard here. Definitely looking for that $100 a hold, but if that does not hold, we're going to be saying hello to the mid 90s to the lower 90s there. Guys, if you got any more stocks, please put it in the chat here pretty quick here. I'm going to call it a night here. I got to go. I got to get my beauty sleep. Got a pretty long day, especially tomorrow. Yeah, so I want to thank everyone, especially Johnny. or John, for the $15 donation. That was fantastic, my friend. I will definitely purchase a lunch, a coffee, or something with that. I appreciate it. More like a lunch and a coffee, not just a coffee. I'm not that person that goes and buys a $15 coffee. I actually just go brew my own. But anyways, so if you guys have any comments or questions, please put it in now. I'm going to be cutting off the live stream within the next minute or two. A couple of things that I wanted to look at. Where was my list here? Unity, yes. We want to talk about Unity. So the Unity is one that I've been looking at here and looking for potentially. It kind of came on my radar here. It has been trading too well here. Looking for it to hold potentially 100. I want to see how it does on earnings here. Potentially maybe adding some shares now and then seeing it come after earnings and seeing how that plays out. So U is one that I'm looking at. Brian's asking for coin. Yeah, coin, I have not too much to say about it. That earnings is going to be a pretty substantial move. I think we said $30 potential market move here. We're going to be looking for something to potentially play out here pretty significant here. I think we can easily see a potential earnings run here. It's not going to be too much because, again, it reports on Tuesday, I believe. Yeah, Tuesday after the bell. We're going to be looking for a, it's already kind of slightly breaking out here, but we would like to see it back above that 275 to potentially that 285 plus to really kind of get that aggressively market move back on track here, because it is kind of those last 3 days has literally moved from 230 to nearly the 263. So yeah, but yeah, with the earnings on Tuesday after the bell, pretty much a coin flip, so be very careful on that one. John is asking for CCL. I love CCL. I'm going to be straight honest with you. Looking at the bookings that they have and seeing on where it could be trading, I'm buying longer dated options for this mother trucker in 2023, and I think 2024 should be coming out soon, I believe. And just buying the $20 calls, honestly. I bought these for well below where it's currently at. I bought them when it was, I bought it on these two dips down here, but when it was at 20, basically is when I was buying those calls when they were like basically at the money, and just adding to these calls here, and seeing it kind of come back here. I think CCL can definitely potentially push back with the cruise line industry. I think that it's going to be a little bit more choppy than I thought. I thought it'd be potentially a pretty strong recovery after we get the vaccines kind of come out, but who knows what's going to happen. I think this is definitely that $21 price target. It's going to be what we're going to be looking for, some initial support here. Really would like to start seeing this back up to 25 in the next coming weeks if the new variants just continue to start popping up. What's your TP picks for Monday? I don't know what TP means, but YAR. Thanks for the recap. You're welcome, Brian. Your 3 TP picks for Monday. I don't know what that means. I don't day trade, if that's what that means. TP. Oh, top picks for Monday. Oh, I love CCL. I really like CCL for some reason. I'm looking at Unity, but I'm waiting for earnings on this one. And what was the other one I was looking at? Oh, XLF, but that kind of has come and gone here a little bit. I was adding to this one substantially here around that 34, 35 range there. In space, actually, I like space. These are more speculative trades, honestly, that I'm looking at. And then I wanted to do more of a market research on Big C. I just want to understand the business a little bit more. Why is it down so much? That's what I'm really looking for. Why is it down so much? And then I like Apple. Apple's been trading pretty weird. Like, it had a great earnings, right? Popped out and kind of been trading around 145 and hasn't been doing such a very tight pattern here. If Apple does make a move down to basically 142 to 140, I'm a little concerned at that point, though. So be careful on that one. But this a very top tight pattern here usually a little scary, honestly, on my fact, because again, is it just waiting for the 34 EMA to kind of catch up and then get its market move higher? Maybe, but this kind of pattern here is not really something. If this pattern was basically around the 144 EMA pattern and right after earnings, I would like that. But it is already somewhat escalated. It's had a pretty large market move, as you can see here, basically running from summer like 127 to 150 over a month and a half. So that's been a pretty substantial move there. So I'm a little bit of iffy there on that one. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming out. Greatly appreciated. We'll try to do some kind of live stream midweek or do a video on some options trades or some large options buying or selling that I see. I think most people do appreciate those videos. I like to do it because it kind of gives me a better grounding and while I do the research and all that fun stuff behind it. So, but again, thank you from the guys and ladies from the bottom of my heart for coming out and watching the boring videos about charting and stocks. All right, everyone have a great week. Stay safe. Peace.